Alrighty, we will call this to order at 8 o'clock. I did send out an agenda for everybody. Hope you saw it. We'll just get right to it. Mr. Secretary, could you call a roll call, please?
One moment, please.
Sure.
Mike, where did you send that email? Because I'm not seeing it.
Who was that? Sorry.
Mr. McCose.
It's the same. It was I sent it out to the entire list back on Sunday.
Okay, thank you. That makes it easier for me to find it.
Yeah. So
All right. Are you guys ready for calling roll?
go for it.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Quite well compared to last week.
Well, I haven't changed anything, so I don't know what's going on with that. All right. Members, Alfstad from California.
Here.
Libertarian Party.
Barbour from Ohio.
Here.
Benner from LNC rep.
Here.
LNC appointed.
Here. Yep.
Bergman, Illinois.
Here.
Bowman, Michigan. Bowman, Michigan.
Don't see him.
Brooksbank, LNC.
Here.
Choco.
Here.
Eiler, LNC.
Not seeing her either.
Enzor, PA. Johnson, Texas.
Present.
Labrie, Colorado.
Here.
Leatherman, New York.
Here.
McCose, Alaska.
Here.
Melchin, Nevada. Has anybody seen Montoni? Oh, that's me. Never mind.
We think you're a hologram.
See, right.
I'm definitely a hologram.
Thompson, Florida.
I'm here, thanks.
Ware, New Hampshire. Okay, let's go to, okay, Shull, Georgia. And do we have a Wyoming appointee yet?
Nope. I doubt we're going to have one either.
Should I remove that, calling that name or calling Wyoming's rep from the roll?
I would for now, even though we know they're not here.
Okay, let's move to our alternates. Chatterton, I'm sorry, Chatterton.
Present.
Clift, Alaska. Matt, Illinois.
Present.
Redmond, New York. Roaming, PA. Bildhuizen.
Here.
I hope I pronounced your name somewhat right.
Yeah, it was somewhat right.
Carlos,
She's here. I see her on the screen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Edwards, Georgia. All right, let's see. Hold on one moment. Marinovich, Colorado first. Goodley, Colorado second. Gonzalez, Colorado third. Osborne, California. All right, and can we have our guests sign off, please, or call off, please? Who do we have?
This is Dean Rogers, Virginia second alternate.
You spell your last name with a D, correct?
I do. Thank you for asking.
And that was Dean?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Dean Rogers, and you said you're Virginia second.
Virginia second. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, with the resignation, Mr. Kraus being official as the first alternate for Virginia, Mr. Veldhuizen has moved up to first alternate for Virginia, and Mr. Rogers has been appointed to second.
And I think we have one guest here, Chris Cole. We can't hear you right now.
Says you're unmuted, but we're not getting audio. I think it may be something with on your end, sir. I believe Miss Tewksbury is also here.
All right, who's that first name?
Jessica Tewksbury from California, I believe, is here. As a guest.
And there's one other one.
I believe that was
Can you guys
Mr. Cole. Go ahead. Sorry, who was that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we can.
Okay, we're gonna have to go without the headphones.
No, I'm glad I'm not the only one with those kinds of troubles.
I didn't have, this was like a 15-minute ago thing that I was coming on for Cash Jackson.
All right. Here I see. "13 members present, alternates present."
You have 13 or 14, Mr. Secretary? I got 14 here.
Let me go over them then. Alstead, California.
Yeah.
Just tell me whether you have them or not.
Yep.
Barber,
Yep.
Ohio. Benner.
Yep.
Bergman.
Yep.
Brooksbank.
Yep.
Johnson, Texas.
Yep.
Labrie.
Yep.
Leatherman.
Yep.
Goes.
Yep.
Myself, Tony.
Yep.
You, Seebeck.
Yep.
Thompson.
Yep.
Florida. And I may have missed Mr. Boyer spoke up, right?
He did. And Mr. Choko, I believe, too.
Thought I just read him off. All right, so
I thought he was here. I thought he was here. Wait a minute.
3. He's here. He's here.
Okay. Okay. Where am I not seeing him?
2, 4,
Oh, there he is.
Definitely here.
Yeah, I
7,
see it now. Just
8,
hiding in the
9,
corner.
11, 12, 13, 14, Okay, we do have 14. Are any of the alternates sitting in for absent members?
Chatterton, I believe, for Bowman, for Michigan.
Anyone else?
Um, let's see. Hang on. Benner's here. Brooksbank's here. I'm here. Tony's here. Veldhuizen would be filling in for Eiler.
So it sounds to me like we have 16 votes.
I read that as well.
There you go.
Okay, we definitely have a quorum. I'm going to display the agenda real fast, just to go over it real quick, because there are some comments about people can't seem to find it. Everybody should be able to see my screen, I hope. All right, our agenda is simple. Call out a roll call, public comment, which we'll get to in a moment, and then we'll pick up where we left off on the carryovers from last committee, where we left off at last week's meeting, excuse me. And then we'll continue on with the rest of those. In time pending, we'll get into our new proposals. So that's the fast version of it. So any questions from the committee on that?
I do have a question. I was asked to come speak on behalf of Cass Jackson regarding the parental. Here it says parental relationships. Is it the parental rights plank 1.6? Because I'm seeing 1.5.
Probably 1.5, but we'll get to that in public comment.
I do have one question too, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the agenda email you sent 2 days ago. I think this was incorrect, but it had a 3.4 alternative language at the very top. I don't think that was right, but I think it should be there somewhere, right?
Good question. I'm not seeing it in my notes. However, I do know that there was a 3.4 alternative proposed. For now, I'm gonna, whoops, hold on a second. Mr. Bowman just arrived. For now, I'm gonna leave it off of the agenda, but I will make the effort to get it put back in here, and we can revisit that a little later. I'm making a note to myself. 3.5.
It was a new proposal, so totally understood. Just wanted to have it noted. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Any other questions on the agenda at the moment?
Can I interject with, I'll call it a point of personal privilege. I noticed I was looking at the live minutes, and it looks like the minutes marked as January 30th are being edited at the moment. I think the secretary might be editing the wrong document.
Is that so? Yeah, I mean, I opened the minutes for tonight, and they do not appear to be live minutes, so that makes sense to me now.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we're not losing information there before we approve the minutes.
Mr. Secretary, are you on the right set? I'm gonna stop sharing that one. Mr. Montoni, are you on the correct set of live minutes?
I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll stand.
You're gonna have to hold on, just to move on to the
Stand by a
next item of
second.
business.
Well, next item for business
Do we have
hold on, there's public comment. then we'll go through that from the public while the secretary is getting his minutes straightened out. Apologies for the cutting off, Mr. Shoko, but let's let Mr. Montoya sort it out.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Alstead had his hand up, but I want to get the public comment first. Mr. Cole, this I believe is your cue because you're asking to speak on something, and if Ms. Tewksbury has something after that, we'll get to her. So, Mr. Cole, go ahead.
As far as speaking up on what exactly are you talking about? As far as the plank information?
Yes, sir. You had mentioned that.
Okay. Yeah, I had been at the national convention in 2020. We were working on a parental rights on the parental rights plank. It was 1.6 and it was called parental rights. I was just making sure that was the same plank that we're discussing here at 1.5, parental relations or whatever it's called now.
One moment, let me cross-reference that real fast.
I'm just looking at information from 1.6.
No, it's a fair question, sir. Hang on. We're gonna make sure we can answer it. I have the current platform up on my phone. I just gotta scroll to the right location. And we had parental rights at 1.5 and adult rights and responsibilities at 1.6.
Okay. That's strange. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, amend current plank 1.6 parental rights. I have a proposal here that we're gonna modify a little bit, but I thought it was 1.6. It was 1.6 in 2020. I guess we removed planks.
There might have been one removed. Yeah,
There was definitely one.
Yeah, there's probably a renumbering. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
I just wanted to make sure.
Right. They got renumbered because of the removal
Kind of
of
a
the
big
abortion
deal, I
link.
think.
Yeah. Did we just get rid of that one?
Yeah, that kind of happened in Reno. All righty. Ms. Tewksbury, do you have anything?
I'm sorry, did we hear the comments from Mr. Cole?
Yeah, he was asking about the question about which plank we were looking at.
Oh, okay. So you didn't want to speak about the substance of the plank at all?
Well, actually, that's a fair point. I forgot to ask that question, Mr. Cole.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't know how the agenda was going. I literally was just asked to come on here for Cash Jackson, who was going to speak on that plank. We had been in front of the committee in 2020 and tried to sneak in an amendment. However, we weren't able to due to time restraints. But what I wanted to do is to have that plank sort of elaborated on a little bit more, especially being a father who has been fighting the family courts for over 5 years now. The plank is pretty general. The reason that I would say that we should elaborate on that is because besides a few mentions here and there, the two-party system doesn't really discuss parental rights outside of constitutional rights. And anyone who's ever been through a divorce or a custody battle knows that the family court, the civil court system, on the regular violates constitutional rights. I think it does that by circumventing certain aspects of the law. I'm not really sure about that. But it's due to a lot of federal incentive dollars and welfare and all that stuff like that, where they can now regulate a father like myself or a mother. Typically, dads get the short end of the stick on divorce and custody, where they can regulate you basically to a visitor of your own children, where you had total access to them before, and you become no more than an ATM machine. Hopefully, my situation is going to change here soon. $50,000 in and 5 years missed out of my children's lives. But I think one of the biggest issues that we as libertarians, Republicans, Democrats, human beings haven't discussed that is one of the major issues, if not the major issue, when it comes down to it, because I think it causes so many other problems, is fatherlessness. And the destruction of the family, and that's sort of government intervention. As some of you may know, the destruction of Black families. It's not just Black families anymore. Fathers, and divorce is incentivized, welfare, child support, alimony. There's a reason that no one's getting married anymore, and there's a reason 40% of our kids are born out of wedlock. There's a reason that 90% of child support is paid by men. It's not because 90% of us men, including myself, don't want to raise their kids, which is why child support exists. So the system itself has sort of turned into this dysfunctional, abusive machine. So I really wanted to sort of add to our plank, because no other party is doing that. And I think that's our duty as the Libertarian Party, and us as parents, me as a father, to address, I think, the biggest issue, which is we have children growing up without fathers in the home. And it's not because dads are all leaving, it's because we're being incentivized and pushed out. So that's sort of the premise on why I want to amend, which is really just kind of keeping what we have, but really elaborating a little bit more on it, speaking about parental rights and what the court should be presuming is a rebuttable 50-50. You know, it should start at 50-50. I don't know how we've lost our way in that, but you know how the government works. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. I apologize if I'm rambling a little bit. I wasn't really prepared for this. Cash said his back was hurting and he was going to sleep. And he said, "Hey man, can you go on this live in 30 minutes to this platform meeting?" And I said, "Okay." So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cole. I can speak from personal experience being on the children's end of that the system went off the rails a good 50 years ago. If we get through the 3.4 plank, which is the top item on our agenda, the next one on there is the 1.5 parental rights. I get the impression that it will be brought up for discussion and possible amendment when we get there. Members of the committee, public comment. Mr. Bowman. You're muted. There you go.
Hi. I'm just basically wanting to have a link to view these various documents that we're going to discuss amendments to. And that's why I just asked about one, because it almost sounded like we were on one particular amendment just now. And I know there was that Google Drive link, and I have it somewhere in my many emails. I misplaced it. I don't know if you could just kind of throw it into the oh, you just did.
Mr. Benner
Dave
just
Brenner,
did.
is that it?
Yes.
Let me see if that's the whole
Yes,
drive,
sir.
or if it's just that one proposal. Okay, well, that may resolve my issue. I gotta get logged in and stuff, but thank you.
It's the drafts folder. Should be good.
Okay, thank you.
And the ones that we're looking at are actually above the drafts folder just for convenience. Otherwise, I'd be jumping all over the place in the folders myself. All right, any other public comment from the members of the committee or the alternates?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Harlos.
I know we're using the same link each week, but members who follow the platform list, and even members of this committee, because there are so many, they might not remember that. If we could, because it's the same thing for bylaws as well. But I think we still need to publish a notice every week with the link to make it clear to everybody, and particularly to members who might not understand, because the bylaws committee link is the same as well, but I still publish a weekly notice with the link.
I'll take care of that. Mr. Barber.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that. While it's great to publish it, and that I'm sure that's a good thing, I bookmarked it in my web browser, so it's right there. All I got to do is pull down bookmarks, and there it is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barber. Is there any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will go on to the next item in the agenda, which is picking up where we left off on proposal 3.4. Where in the world did it go? One moment, please. I gotta figure out where it went off to.
Point of personal privilege, is the
Please go ahead.
agenda, is the link to the agenda been published?
It was sent out an email. But it should be, let me check.
Or not published, but hasn't been, is it shared here? Is there? with
Let
the
me,
live notes? Can-
let
is there a
me
link to
check.
that?
Let me check, please, real fast. I will answer that question by taking a quick look. And the answer is yes, it is in the agendas folder.
Okay.
Have
thank
the
you.
minutes been worked out?
Mr. Secretary has answered that one.
I put the link to the fresh copy of the February 6th minutes in the chat window, and I also removed all of the revisions to the file that I had open erroneously.
There's a link in the chat window?
That's correct.
I don't think you sent it to everyone. I think you may have DM'd it to someone by accident.
All right, there we go. Now I got the right screen. Let's see, where's the meeting? There we go. Let me kill that and do this again. There we go. Now we're getting to the right spot. Mr. Alstead, go ahead real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is back on the agenda. I have a proposal 2.1 that's in the plant cleanup directory. It's been in there because I didn't know where to put it originally, and I'm not allowed to move it, but if that could get into the blank draft and onto the agenda, I appreciate it.
One moment, I'm making a note of that.
Thank you.
You said it was in the draft. You said it was in one of the drafts folder in the drafts. Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, I think plant cleanup.
Yeah, I'll find it. So, alrighty. When we last left off last week, when we last left our heroes, we were in the middle of working 3.4. And at the time, we had moved and amended and passed to strike the word financial. We have a motion on the floor currently to amend by bringing back the word unreasonably. And we had in the queue at that point, we had, hang on, there's my scrap paper. We had Mr. Bowman, then Mr. Choco in the queue to speak on the amendment. The amendment was proposed by Mr. Brooksbank. So we would recognize Mr. Bowman and Mr. Choco first, if they have anything to say, because they were in the queue before.
I'm trying to remember that context, and it may have been, actually, I'm trying to remember if it was, I think there was confusion about both the amendment and the main motion by me. I'm trying to read. Am I seeing all of it? Because it looks like the bottom half of this is somehow cropped or something.
How far down
right
are
now
you?
on the shirt screen?
How far down are you seeing?
I see benefits and then I see strike through. Okay, that's just the legend. So is there anything above benefits that I'm missing here?
Just proposal information text.
Okay, so let me see. I'm trying to remember, put back in my memory
Yeah.
what exactly it was that I was thinking of commenting on. Okay, let me go through this. We support the removal of government impediments to free trade and migration, political freedom, economic opportunity, and escape from trade demand. Individuals not be unreasonably, and we're going to strike that part out, constrained by government and crossing of political boundaries. Economic freedom demands unrestricted movement of individuals as well as capital and goods across national borders. I guess I don't have a big problem with that, and I guess I'm trying to remember what my issue was. I think it may have simply been that perhaps we need to move this not at the front of the agenda because it's likely to be one of these things people are going to argue about longer. But then again, maybe that's true of a lot of stuff I've been hearing. I'm trying to remember what I think one issue I am coming up with is while the reasonable versus unreasonable concept is pretty vague, I think it also placates people who are otherwise in a panic about immigration. Now, by the way, I did read that article that Carrie Ann proposed reading on Stockholm libertarianism, and I understand where she's going with that. So, but at the same time, it just seems like maybe escape from tyranny demand the individual should not be I'm wondering about if we have like if it's unrestrained, does that mean that an army can cross our border and we're not against that? Let's put it that way. Maybe we should put the word peaceful in there or something. It's about the only thing I can see in there that would be an issue.
Are you making a motion to amend, sir?
Maybe I should. Let me see. We support the removal of government impediments, free trade, escape. Let's see. That individuals, that peaceful individuals not be constrained by government and crossing political boundaries. That would be good. Just continue to strike unreasonable, but put the word peaceful in front of individuals.
Say that last part again. Say that last part again, please. Just make sure we captured it correctly.
I would leave now, does the green over unreasonably mean that we're still striking unreasonably, or did someone want to put it back?
Mr. Brooksbank had moved last session to bring the word unreasonably back. That is the layer that we are at the moment.
Okay, so what I would say is I would be for removing the phrase unreasonably, but putting peaceful in front of individuals. That would be my amendment to that.
Okay, there's two ways to do this.
Point of, okay.
Bear with me one moment. I might be addressing your point of information before we get there. There's two ways to work this. The simplest way is to hold off on the amendment for peaceful and then bring that in as an amendment after we address the unreasonably question. Because a motion to both add peaceful and undo the amendment to bring back the strikeout, which kind of cross cancels each other, would have the effect of negating the amendment. And I think that may be out of order. If it's not out of order, it's extremely complicated. So I would suggest
okay, you sound reasonable.
Holding off on that one just for a moment or two. Okay. Okay. Somebody was about ready to raise a point of information. Did I hear that correctly?
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to object to an amendment to an amendment that wipes out the original amendment.
Okay,
Kind
fair
of
enough.
the same point you made.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I have, okay, Mr. Cholko was left over from last session. Do you have anything, sir?
Yeah, so I would vote against an amendment to add unreasonably back in. I personally prefer it gone, but also I've been asked by several members to get that word out of there. Nobody has asked me the other way. So I certainly will not be voting in favor of adding it back. Although I just heard something, you know, the other, but never mind. Let me just stop there so I don't confuse the business.
All right, I have Mr. Brooksbank, Mr. Vilhuizen, and Ms. Harless. Mr. Brookbanks.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted a couple points I wanted to make. One, Karen Ann mentioned, you know, the Dallas Accord or the Dallas Accord last time. And for those that don't know, that's kind of like a truce between anarchists and minarchists. And, you know, I am definitely not an anarchist. I am a minarchist. And as such, you know, since political boundaries do exist, and we're recognizing it in our in this very plank, and then, you know, governments have a duty to defend those political boundaries. And I believe that leaving unreasonably is a good it's a good meeting point between minarchism and anarchism by saying that, you know, that there should be, or it's not saying that there should be, but it's saying that any constraints should be reasonable. And so that's my reasoning. Second point is that I've heard people say the other thing, you know, that they like the unreasonably word. So, you know, the playing of, you know, I've heard this and the people have told me this. Well, I've heard the opposite. And I just feel that our job as a committee is to try to put forth proposals that we honestly believe will get voted through with the least amount of effort on the part of the body. And if we present it as such and then they want to screw it up, let them have at it. If they want to spend an hour arguing over unreasonably, that's not our problem. But I just think that doing this is going to just completely throw everything. And if we want to get the rest of this stuff passed in, we should not worry about that word. Thank you.
All righty, Mr. Secretary, just noted that Mr. Rogers left. I don't know if he dropped or if he's going to come back in or whether he just left the meeting completely. I have Mr. Veldhuizen, Ms. Harlos, and then I'm putting myself in the queue. So, Mr. Veldhuizen.
Yes, I'd like to address both the word unreasonably and the word unrestricted in the plank. And since we're talking about unreasonably, I'd like to address that first. If we take out the word unreasonably and we don't substitute language about valid security concerns, you know, we might be seen as condoning the admittance of murderers, rapists, human traffickers, and other violent criminals. And from a political point of view, I think that that's very short-sighted. And as libertarians, we believe in the non-aggression principle. And so those individuals who have a record of committing such crimes should not be admitted. So, you know, if we are going to have a government, and if you're minarchist, you believe in a limited government, then the purpose of that government is to prevent those kind of activities. I think the other concept that really needs to be in there in a libertarian platform is that we oppose state subsidization of immigration. And right now, what we're seeing at the border is subsidized immigration in many, many ways. And it's currently the unrestricted subsidized movement of migrants across our borders, which is really not libertarian. And the state is the enemy because it's taking our money through coercive taxation and uses it to house migrants, provide them food and transportation to various areas of the United States to be dumped into communities that don't necessarily want them. Also, not controlling our borders results in migrants passing through private properties every single day of the year. And that it's just not a matter of crossing political boundaries, but it's also a matter of crossing private boundaries. And so these direct subsidized travel benefits, once migrants reach our borders, also include, hospital care, free schools, other forms of welfare that incentivize mass illegal migration from all over the world, not just from South America. So I'm an immigrant to this country and became a US citizen at the age of 27, and no one paid our way when our family came over. And it's really an insult to people like us when illegals cut in front of the line and are rewarded with state benefits derived from dollars that are confiscated from us through taxation. So the unrestricted open borders subsidized immigration policy currently in effect leads to bigger government because migrants are encouraged to come by the state, which creates this artificial demand and bubble in migration that the society at large isn't prepared to absorb. And these increased number of migrants creates a crisis, which requires more INS agents, resulting in more of our dollars going to that particular agency. So this also tends to increase government spending through taxation and inflation, which also violates our property rights. And the increasing number of migrants creates much bigger opportunities for human traffickers and increases trespasses on private property. So it's a vicious downward cycle. And so, because the government.
Well, I think we lost your audio there, sir. What the heck? Please note Ms. Eiler is now here. And I will go back
so
to
I was an actual person for a while.
temporarily. Yeah, you were actually an alternate. Yes. Let's see. No, that's not
No,
working.
Albert was, never mind him.
Yeah.
Got one moment here, folks, while I go find the appropriate information, because it is here somewhere. No, that's not it. Hold on a moment, folks. I gotta find where I ran off to here. Bear with me. Good Lord. I hate this computer. And now everything's trying to freeze up again. What the hell?
It's the Chicoms.
No, it's an old computer that is deciding it wants to do its own stupid thing at approximately the speed is stopped. Let me try something else here real fast. This is not going to get me where I'm going though, so never mind. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Oh, what in the world is going on here? Okay, I'm starting to see. Fine. Oh, where is everything? Now we're getting somewhere. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, we get back to, okay, that's a little better. Now share screen, share that. Okay, can everybody see the proposal again?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
have it.
Yes.
I apologize for all the technical crazy there. That was not planned by any definition. With that in mind, now when when my stuff went down the toilet, Mr. Velhusen was still speaking. I don't know what that's all about. That can wait. So my question is, it's for Mr. Velhuisen. Did you finish, sir?
No, I did not. So
Okay.
I'd like to summarize what I was saying.
Go right ahead, sir. We will pick up where we left off. I apologize. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
So basically in politics, perception is reality. And if our platform calls for the unrestricted movement of individuals across national borders, that position makes us really indistinguishable from the subsidize everything that moves socialist position of the Democrats. So we need to make a clear distinction and tell people that we condemn government subsidized immigration. And so the current plank is and will be interpreted in the wrong way. And we have a different view on immigration, but we should all be able to agree that the federal government should not subsidize it. So I think that language, which I did put in the chat, some suggested change to take out the word unrestricted and put in subsidization language. And if we take out unreasonably, as I stated earlier, we should replace that with valid security concerns. And I think doing that will actually build consensus, and it'll be a lot less controversial and less likely to be challenged and deleted on the floor of the convention in May. But I do agree that this whole plank needs to be relooked at in whole, and it's probably a good idea for the committee, just as Karen Ann was mentioning, that we need to look at it from top to bottom. And I know that there's a really good proposal from that Dave Benner is proposing, and I supported that wholeheartedly. So those are my comments, and I revert back to you.
Alrighty. Next in the queue was Ms. Harlos. I put myself in the queue, and then Mr. Chilko. So Ms. Harlos.
Thank you. I still think we're in a huge boarding. I built consensus at all. The way this platform has read with all of these words has held since 2008. To say subsidization, well, why until they can afford to have them? It's what? It's okay to subsidize at a certain latitude and longitude, but it's not.
You're cutting in and out.
If we start getting, why should churches?
Ms. Harlos, you're
Single thing.
you're
Why are
cutting
we
in and
saying
out on your audio. I don't know why, because
I
other
think
people
it's
hear
your
you.
Zoom connection because
No, it's you. We're all
You're
having the
breaking
problem.
oh,
I'm hearing it too.
Multiple people are.
am I still cutting in and out?
Sound good now.
Okay. Pulling out my organization, I don't see the point. Every people group, we're subsidizing people
You're cutting in and out again, Karen Ann.
I'm not gonna, so
Apologies on that. I'm not sure what was going on there. Myself was next in the queue, then Mr. Choko, and then Mr. Bowman just had his hand up. Regarding the question of unreasonably, and Ms. Tewksbury raised this in the chat. I was going to raise it myself anyway. Who defines what's reasonable and what's not? The answer to that is the state. The problem with the term is it is way too vague. It is way too subjective. There's a lot of discussion about this in the last committee in that same direction as well. And we never really had a good solution on it either, except there was a proposal to take it out that never got heard, which is why it got merged back into this, this proposal here. I think that Mr. Bowman's point earlier about peaceful individuals is a great point because it shifts the focus away from the state and onto the individual. That peaceful individuals, yeah, let them come on in. Hostile individuals, different story. I think that I would change. That type of a proposal changes the entire tone of the plank to focus more on the people and their motives rather than the government and its motives. I think that all will be a good way to work it. So that's what's kind of my thought on it. Mr. Choko.
So I just want to get absolutely certain here. I thought I was clear on this, but Ms. Harless mentioned the Gordian knot a handful of times. The only thing we have here that's changed from our original proposal is an amendment to add back unreasonably, correct?
No, sir. We have already made amendments to change out human for individuals and to strike the word financial from the original.
I'm sorry, but the only thing that's being considered right now is the green highlighted text of adding back unreasonably.
Correct.
There's nothing else in play anywhere in this plank. We have only this one amendment on the floor, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so earlier, I think you were discouraging Mr. Bowman, was it, from adding in peaceful in front of individuals at this time. But am I correct that there is a way to do that?
There is.
So, basically, I want to do what you just described. Like, the problem is, it seems to me that a lot of people don't want unreasonably out of there. But I think if we put peaceful in and remove unreasonably, I feel like it takes care of that problem and satisfies almost everybody. So I want to do that if there's a way to do it.
The simplest way to get there, and probably the only way that's in order, is to, and I'm not advocating this one way or another, I'm just simply saying process here, to reject this amendment, to leave unreasonably at the stricken point, and then make another amendment to add the word peaceful, and then pass that, and that will arrive at that direction. The idea of doing an amendment. Hold on. Let me finish real fast. To just add an amendment to say peaceful in here while keeping the amendment to bring back unreasonably would put us at too deep in the amendment process, and it would preclude acting unreasonably back out at a third layer. Go ahead.
Okay. So my concern is that unreasonably is going to get added back in here if we don't put peaceful in, and that's an unacceptable outcome to me. So I hear what you're saying. I think essentially you just said if I try to make this amendment, you would rule it out of order, and I don't want to go down that road. So can you put me or maybe Mr. Bowman, if he was the one that was originally talking about it, can be first in line to make an amendment first in line after we deal with the unreasonably text. Is that something that can be done?
I can do that.
Basically, what I'm saying is I'm gonna move peaceful unless Mr. Bowman does it. And I'm just saying that to the group. So there you go.
Alrighty, Mr. Bowman, did you just lower your hand because of what he said, or did you still wish to speak?
Basically, I love the fact that you said after if we I basically accept what he says, and I just kind of didn't want to delay that.
Yeah, then let's go ahead and forget about me. Put Mr. Bowman first in line if that's okay.
No problem. Okay. In the meantime, I have Mr. Alsted and Mr. Brooksbank.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to speak to the main motion as well.
Okay, I'll put you in the queue. Mr. Brooksbank.
The only thing I gotta say is, let's just remember that we're, what, 13 people? Let's add 1,000 people to the mix and see how long this is gonna take us. That's all I got.
Alrighty, is there any further debate on the amendment? To restate the amendment, it has been moved to take the word unreasonably that had been moved to be stricken in the main motion and bring it back so it would not be stricken. Is there any further debate on the amendment? I'm pretty sure there is an objection to this, judging from the discussion. So the secretary had stepped away for a moment. He said he'd be back in 5 minutes. Mr. Montoni, are you excuse me, are you back yet, sir? I'll take that as a no. So I will go ahead and I will prepare a quick vote for this. So please bear with me for a quick moment. While I write some stuff down here, otherwise we're going to have chaos. Because I do not have a sheet the way that Mr. Matoni has. And Miss Eiler is now here. So we have all 5 LNC primaries here now. As I've noticed that, please bear with me for one moment. I'm still writing here.
It's like Mr. Montoni is back.
Okay, good. And then I will pause what I'm doing and I will update it. Mr. Montoni, Mr. Secretary, we are at a roll call vote on the amendment to bring back the word unreasonably from being stricken in the main motion. We are ready when you are to take that vote.
Again, just to clarify, voting for this will put the word unreasonably back in.
Correct.
And voting against it, take it out.
We'll keep it at move to be stricken, yes. So, Mr. Mathoni, when you're ready, let us know.
I'm gonna raise this. God, I can't raise a point of order. I've got to bring something up, though. If no one's rights are being violated, no one cares. But if you strike a strike, it can never be stricken again. It's just these weird Roberts rules with amendments, which is why I said this whole thing should have been done as a substitute. But of course, if nobody cares about striking and restriking, like who cares? The rules don't serve us. We serve the rules. I'm just telling you, technically, when you strike a strike, adding it back in, it can't be restricken back out unless you rewrite a whole sentence. Like you have to amend a greater piece. You can't go back to that piece. That's why I keep saying accordion, not here.
The point, while deep in the weeds, is well taken.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Multiply that by 1,000.
Are you able to pull up the draft minutes?
I'm sorry, sir. Say again.
Are you able to pull up the draft minutes?
Let me try it. Yes, I can.
All right. Everyone, please review the list of voters. I heard in there somewhere that Eiler is now present.
She is.
Correct, I'm here.
Which takes Veldhuizen off as a voter. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so let's see, we have we have 16 voters. Does that look correct to everyone?
Sir absent. Motion absent.
Is Mr. Weir here?
He is present. Yes, he was. Mr. Scholl is not
still present.
Yeah, Mr. Scholl is not on your list from Georgia, but he's also not here.
Okay, I'll fix that shortly. All right, so let's do the roll call. I'm going to call everybody but the people who are marked absent. Which is Enzor from PA and Melson from Nevada. Hope that's correct. All right.
I don't see Mr. Weir here. Does anyone else see him here? Just wanted to point that out. I looked at the participants.
He was here earlier.
I don't remember.
Because I remember during
I don't remember him coming in.
But I don't
like
see him
we said,
here
New Hampshire
now.
wasn't, but okay.
And New Hampshire doesn't have an alternate, so.
All right. So I'm going to mark Weir absent. So that gives us 15 voters, not 16. Does that sound right with everyone? Okay, I don't hear any objections, so here we go. Calling the vote roll. Alstead, California.
Aye.
Barber, Ohio.
No.
Benner.
No.
Bergman.
No.
Bowman.
No.
Brooksbank.
Yes.
Choco.
No.
Eiler.
No.
Johnson.
No.
Labrie,
Yes.
Leatherman,
No.
McCose,
No.
I'm going to vote no. Mr. Seebeck, your vote?
I vote last.
Thompson,
No.
Mr. Seebeck,
Chair will not be voting.
okay, if that looks correct, then that's the vote. I believe we're re-adding, that was to re-add unreasonably. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what are the totals?
I see 3 aye and 11 nay and 1 non-voting.
All right, with 3 ayes, 11 nays, and 1 non-voting, the motion fails. So unreasonably stays in as stricken. Excuse me. Got to say it correctly. What the heck is going on here? All right, I'll worry about that little green spot later. Okay, we are back to the main We are back to the main motion. And at this point, Mr. Bowman asked to be put in the queue first to make a motion. So, Mr. Bowman, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I move to make the following changes. First of all, that the word peaceful be put in front of individuals, both where it says escape from tyranny demand that peaceful individuals, and then also down below where individuals was added to replace human, I would like to again put peaceful down there. And finally, I know it's a lot, but I think it'll be better. Finally, oh, you got something going on with the colors there. Okay. Finally, there's that part where it says, and I guess I'm gonna read this out loud, where it says not to be constrained by government in the crossing of political boundaries. I would like to change that so that we let's see, not to be constrained by, I would like to replace a government with aggression. And so it would say, instead of by government in the crossing of, it should say by aggression from crossing. So it's shorter. Constrained by aggression from crossing political boundaries instead of in the crossing of.
Okay, so you wish to strike the words government in the and replace it with aggression.
Yeah, so it will read, should not be constrained by aggression from crossing political boundaries.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Chair, can we divide the question?
Hold on a minute, please. I wish to capture the motion first. let's not try to do too much too fast. Okay, so replace it with what words again, sir, Mr. Bowman?
Constrained by aggression from crossing political boundaries.
Aggression, wrong. That's the words I was looking for. Okay, one moment. And I thanks the committee for bearing with me on this, just because it's a little bit tricky.
I'm sorry for adding more, but when I looked at it, it just seems so clunky. And also, I mean, there's sort of the Dallas Accords I'm thinking of here as far as this government thing. We're against aggression. And I think that more clarifies it.
Okay, the green here is not indicative of additions. It's just indicative of the current motion.
I can
Alrighty.
speak to it if you wish.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. My reasoning is, first of all, the reason for putting peaceful in two places instead of just one is because I heard some discussion by people who are a little bothered by the unrestricted movement of individuals as well as goods and capitals. So the unrestrained thing was then becoming an issue. Actually, I think we are unrestricted. Well, this way we can keep the unrestricted, but now we got the peaceful thing, meaning, we're not talking about armies or murderers or, cartel gangs doing things. And the same thing there, with peaceful in front of individuals and the earlier part before the phrase unreasonably. So I think that most of the objections concern non-peaceful behavior. Finally, individuals not be constrained by aggression from crossing political boundaries. Actually, the word "of" I actually also wish to remove. I'm sorry, I didn't. It's too late to say that.
Without objection, just a Scrivener fix.
Yeah, I was just seemed too wordy. That's what I was getting at. Most of those changes. And even if the people decide they want to put government back in instead of aggression or keep government in, the rest of that is still too clunky, in my opinion. There's too many words to say one thing.
One moment.
Do you just read? Yeah. And so that's my main thought there. It just an escape from tyranny, demand not be constrained, from crossing political borders instead of in the crossing of political boundaries. It just seems like way too much.
Mr. Chair,
Who's that?
that was Mark Antoni.
Yes, sir.
Can we please require individuals who wish to make motions to amend our amendments to do so in writing and to not argue their whether they're good or bad within their making their motion? Basically, we just, no offense, but we just listened to almost 7 minutes or 8 minutes of justification for making the changes that the mover wanted.
The mover,
and we didn't even get to the point of getting a second or opening the floor to discussion.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, first of all, there's no seconds required under our small committee rules. The maker of the motion does have entitlement to speak to the motion once it is made and the motion was made. I appreciate the concerns, but everything was in order.
My concern is that the motions were being made on the fly with justifications in between. There's not really a way that the rest of the committee can really follow along with that format.
The rest of the committee has the ability to get and to be recognized to speak to the amendments as well. Mr. Bowman had, as the maker of the motion, gets first choice if he wishes to speak to it, and he exercised that. I have Mr. Alstad, who had asked to be in the queue for the main motion. Do you still wish to speak to the main motion? Or do you wish to speak to the amendment?
No, I'm still waiting for the main motion.
Still waiting for the main. Okay, Mr. Johnson, you were in the. I had you down next, followed by Mr. Cholko.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I feel that when we're adding peaceful in here, we're getting back into the same territory of unreasonably. As someone from Texas here, working on our messaging against what's going on here, where the government is seizing enormous amounts of power, using emergency powers on the pretext that peaceful people aren't actually people. The word will get twisted just in the same way as unreasonably gets twisted. These linguistic games, when you talk about peaceful versus unpeaceful in the context of a state like Texas, there's a dog whistle to that. where there's a lot of Republicans who will say we're okay with peaceful people, but these are invaders. So when you put that word in there, it has some of that connotation that people will hear in a state like Texas, where we might sound a lot less differentiated than Republicans when we add peaceful in there. In terms of the aggression part of that, the plank already begins with governmental impediments. That's the subject of the plank. I feel like we're starting to split the plank up and get a little bit scattered when we change that one part to aggression from. So I'll be voting against this amendment.
Mr. Chalko.
Is there a way to divide this so we're dealing with peaceful and aggression from separately?
Yes, that actually would be in order to divide exactly on those lines.
So the two instances of peaceful can be one thing and aggression from can be a separate thing?
Yes.
Okay, then I move to divide the question in exactly that way.
Alrighty, Mr. Chalko has moved to divide the question. The first part will be the two peacefuls, and the second part will be the aggression from crossing political boundaries. So we will address the peacefuls, I say that in plural, first. Mr. Benner, first, did you have your hand up to speak to which part of this?
No, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to see if it was in order to call both questions. I think we're pretty solid about what we think about this after the debate.
Unfortunately, there's no calling the question in small committee, sir.
Oh, okay.
So
do we need to vote on call or on dividing?
That's a good question. Stand by a minute.
Vote to divide, whether to divide. Once the motion has been put on the floor, the members own it. The members of the committee as a whole own it. And at that point, when you change what you're about to vote on, it has to be the committee that decides to do that.
No, the division of the question does not require a second, not debatable, but it is amendable, but it also requires a majority vote. So the point is well taken. So the motion was made to divide the question, to divide it between the one part handling the two amended peacefuls and the other part being the aggression from wording. This is not a debatable question, but it is amendable, just to be clear. So that being said, is there anybody who wishes to amend the motion for division of the question?
Could I just interrupt for a point of information or request for information?
Go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was interruptible or not.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I'm curious as to whether or not he mentioned peaceful and the government aggression part. What about the other rewording? Is that part of one? What division is that part of? As far as, for instance, striking of.
The of adheres to the aggression from crossing political boundaries. The words for migration, economic opportunity, and goods that are capital, those are not in scope for the amendment because they were part of the main, so they would not be divided. I hope that makes sense.
In other words, only the things that are highlighted.
Correct, and so that is correct. All right, is there any proposed amendment to the division? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask it this way first. Is there an objection to dividing the question in this manner?
Yes.
I thought there might be, but I had to ask. So we will go quickly to a vote on this. Mr. Choco asks, how would a division of this sort be amended? To be fair, I'm not totally sure. So it's a fair question that I don't have a good answer to.
You would divide the peacefuls as well.
Yeah, I don't think you can divide the question 3 ways. I'm not sure if that's in order or not. So,
yeah, you're getting into amending the amendment.
Which is a whole different issue. So that also might be a second layer. But anyway, we will go to a vote on this. I don't want to go too far in the weeds. Mr. Secretary, whenever you're ready. The motion is to divide the question between the peacefuls and the rest.
Roll call for this question. Alstead.
No.
Barber.
Yes.
Benner.
No.
Bergman.
Yes.
Bowman.
No.
Brooksbank.
Yes.
Tronco.
Yes.
Taylor. Eiler.
No.
Johnson.
No.
Labrie.
Yes.
Letterman.
No.
McCose.
No.
I'm going to vote aye. Mr. Chair, never mind, I'll go to you last. Thompson?
No. Reading the room, no.
All right, Mr. Chair, your vote?
Chair will not be voting.
All right, so I see. I'm going to count the nays first. 1. I see 8 nays. Six ayes and 1 not voting.
I'm sorry, you faded out there again. Could you repeat that, please?
8, 6, 1. Nays, ayes, and not voting.
All righty. The motion to divide required a majority to pass. It fails. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Ensor from Pennsylvania has arrived.
What was the vote there?
It was 6 in favor, 8 against, and 1 not voting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Secretary, Mr. Ensor from Pennsylvania has arrived.
Yes, apologies. We're running late.
No worries. Mr. Choco, your hand was up. I presume you wish to speak to the amendment? Or is that an artifact?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to oppose the amendment. Unfortunately, I spoke, I think, loosely in favor of adding peaceful earlier, but this aggression from language sounds weird to me. Doesn't fit, removing government in this sentence doesn't fit well with leaving government in the first sentence. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote no, because I just think it makes it sound very, a bit strange.
Mr. Thompson.
I also urge everyone to vote no against this. We should be adding by subtraction, not adding more words to this blank. It's too wordy as it is. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the amendments? Or amendment, I guess. Hearing none, there is a objection, obviously, to this. So we will move to a vote on this. Mr. Secretary, whenever you're ready. The motion is to
clarify what this is?
I will state the motion real quick. The motion is to amend the main motion by adding in the word peaceful before individuals in 2 places. And also by striking the words government in the and replacing with the words aggression from ahead of crossing, and striking the word of after crossing. So if adopted, it would read, I'm just going to do the appropriate clause, an escape from tyranny demand that peaceful individuals not be constrained by aggression from crossing political boundaries. Economic freedom demands that the unrestricted movement of peaceful individuals as well as capital and goods across national borders.
Who is the mover?
Mr. Secretary,
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, who was the mover, please?
The mover of this was Mr. Bowman.
Allstate?
No.
Barber? Barber? Aye. Benner?
No.
Bergman?
No.
Bowman?
Yes.
Brooksbank? Brooksbank?
No.
Coco?
No.
Tyler?
No.
Enzer?
Abstain.
Johnson?
No.
LaBrie?
Abstain.
Leatherman?
No.
McClellan?
No.
I'm going to vote no. Mr. Thompson, Florida? Thompson? Thompson, can you repeat yourself?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Chair's not voting.
Okay. I'm going to count the nays first. I see 11 nays. 2 ayes, 2 abstentions, and 1 not voting.
With 2 in favor and 11 against, the motion fails. So we are back to the main motion. That's not what I was trying to do. That's what I was trying to do. Alrighty, we are back to the main motion. Is further debate on the main motion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair, I believe I was next to speak on the main motion.
Actually, I believe Mr. Alstead
From a couple of amendments
was.
ago.
Yes, Mr. Alstead, you were. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, I guess, I don't know if we're ready to vote on this, let's vote on it. If there's going to be another amendment, please, instead of making the amendment, make a motion to table it till another time. Because I would make that motion, but I'm afraid that maybe we're just ready to vote on it and we'd throw away 3 hours of all this and then not vote on it. But, you know, this has been a meeting and a half now that we've spent on this. I think I'm repeating what Mr. Brooksbank, I believe, said. We have no chance of getting through this in convention in our 90 minutes. We need to just cut bait here and start working on things that might actually affect the platform that passes the convention.
Mr. Brooksbanks, then Ms. Harlos.
Well, I will take I was going to offer up an amendment, but I will take what Mr. Alstead said, and I move to table this.
There is a motion to postpone indefinitely. A motion to postpone indefinitely has the following requirements. It is debatable. It is not amendable, takes a majority. So is there any debate on the motion to postpone indefinitely?
Mr. Chair, just a point of, I'm not sure if this is a point of order or whatever.
Go ahead, Mr. Barber.
In returning things to normal, the word "of" should be reinserted between crossing and political.
Thank you. That is a legitimate concern. Thank you. Okay, is there Mr. Brooksbank, do you wish to speak to the postpone indefinitely motion?
Yes, I would.
Go ahead.
I had my hand up. Or is that Mr. Brooksbank?
Ms. Harlos, I had you on for the main motion, actually. Is that correct?
Well, but then there was a motion to postpone indefinitely, and I'm not going to have a chance unless I can speak against that.
Then go ahead.
I thought Mr. Brooksbank was first.
Well, Karen Ann, you can go first. It's fine with me.
Okay. I'm going to repeat what I had said from before. It's not even that I'm against the motion to postpone like indefinitely per se. I do think this is something we can bring to the convention floor, but I don't think the way it is now. What I suggest is that this whole thing just be voted down, and it's agreed on the list to workshop a rewrite or a substitution instead of this, which change a word here, change a word there, which hasn't been in order from the very beginning. If we want to do that many changes, it has to be done by substitution. We are so in the weeds where we're at now because of that. And I do think something can be brought to the floor, but the way we're doing it now, we're going to waste 4 or 5 meetings on it. So vote it down and then workshop a couple proposals on the list and then have them as competing substitutes. And then maybe we'll get somewhere. But I agree with Mr. Brooksbank or whoever said, we're not going to get anywhere the way we're doing it now. So I'm kind of speaking against it, but saying, don't give up on the plank. Just maybe come at it a little bit different.
Mr. Alstead? Excuse me, Mr. Brooksbank, then Mr. Alstead. I'm sorry. Mr. Brooksbank? Mr. Brooksbank, you were after Ms. Harlow's. All righty, Mr. Alstead.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I just want to respond to Ms. Harlow's comments. I don't think it's a problem of that it just needs to be written correctly. I mean, I see this as a fundamental thing with libertarianism. There is no one answer to two subjects. Immigration is one of them. The other one we very, very smartly, I believe, took off of our platform last year. And if anything, we should be taking it off this year, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I personally, I think we need to just table this and be done with this issue. Thank you.
Mr. Choko?
So I just gonna ask my question in chat, but so just to be clear, if we postpone this right now, there's nothing stopping us, or is there nothing stopping us from bringing forth another motion dealing with this plank? And how similar could it be to what we have here before that would be out of order?
Okay, that's a very good question. Identical bringing it back would be out of order unless there was a motion to reconsider by the entire body of the postponed indefinitely. However, that being said, if, as has been suggested, that this plank were to be taken and put to a rewrite on the list and workshopping, either by one or two with a substitute, or substitute with the second one, of proposals to redo the plank, that would be completely in order. I hope that answers the question well.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I believe I've got everything sorted.
Is there any further debate on the motion to postpone this indefinitely? To answer Mr. Alsted's question in the chat, because we are multiple meetings in the same session, the limitation, there is no limitation to apply. We can bring this back. So we should be okay there. Any further debate on the motion to postpone indefinitely? Okay, we'll bring this to a vote. Ms. Eiler's point in the chat about 8 minutes remaining is well taken. Mr. Montoni, whenever you're ready.
following along with the minutes document? Okay, is anybody following along with the minutes document? Okay, I'll just a little bit.
I don't. Do you all understand what he's saying?
Yes, I'm still following along with the minutes. Is what he's saying. Yeah, he's asking for following along.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I am as well.
My follow-up question to that is, do any of you have a problem with me simply copying and pasting the roll call from the previous one? Because it does have the nays and ayes and abstains and whatnot in it. Does that prejudice your voting?
It does not prejudice mine.
You're doing great, Mark.
Okay, thank you. All right, Alstad, California.
Aye.
Barber.
Nay.
Henner.
Yes.
Bergman.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Brooksbank.
Yes.
Coco.
No.
Tyler.
Yes.
Enzor.
Yes.
Johnson.
No.
Labrie.
Yes.
Letterman.
Yes.
Rose.
Abstain.
Melchin. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There, Melchin's absent. I'm going to vote nay. Mr. Chair, I'll come back to you. Thompson.
Abstain.
What are the totals?
I'm going to count the nays first. I see 4 nays. Nine ayes, 2 abstains, and you have not voted yet.
Chair will not be voting.
Okay.
So by a vote of 9-4 with 2 abstentions and 1 not voting, the motion to postpone indefinitely passes. We are currently at 9:56 with 4 minutes remaining in today's meeting. There's not enough time to go on to the next item on the agenda, which would have been the 1.5 parental rights. So at this time, I would be welcome to entertain a motion to adjourn. A little early.
So moved.
Who made the motion?
Brooksbank.
Okay.
Seconded.
Seconds aren't needed. Is there any objection to cutting out a couple minutes early with an adjournment? Okay, hearing none, we
Mr.
are.
Chair?
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair?
Who is that?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to mention, Miss Eiler mentioned in chat a motion to extend. I don't know if that counts as an objection.
It doesn't. I just feel guilty because I objected to extending last time. And this time I'm able to stay.
All right, hearing no objection, we will call the meeting adjourned at 9:58. I'm going to stop the recording. Well, 1 second. Go ahead. I will wait a second. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just need to know, was there objection to adjourning?
No, there was not.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, 9:58. We are adjourned. Recording is stopped.